Hey, what's going on, y'all? So, being is how it's Independence Day weekend, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, I thought it would only be right for me to go check out the movie called Young Washington, which is based on the first president of the United States, George Washington, in his early years. And I'm looking forward to telling you guys a bit more about that. With that being said, this is El Camino, and welcome to my Flick Report. Now, while this movie does give you a brief glimpse into George Washington's upbringing as a child, this movie primarily focuses on his service to the British military as a major in their militia from the years of 1753 through 1755. George Washington definitely had to finesse his ways into rooms and doors that he normally wouldn't be able to get into due to his common upbringing and lack of royal blood, nobility, or his family wasn't a part of the British aristocracy. I bring all of that stuff up because by British standards, George Washington and his family was poor. I guess having 250 acres of land and owning 10 slaves, I guess that's poor to some people. But yeah, I mean, at least they touched on that part in the movie. They touched on the part that, his family did own slaves. Obviously, that's a footnote to his story, but I'm glad that they touched on that part. Now, his big brother Andrew took George Washington under his wing after their father passed away. His big brother Andrew was actually brought up in the aristocracy because he grew up, in England, and he also married into the aristocracy as well. So, with that being said, George Washington did have a slight foothold in terms of being able to make some moves. My apologies. George Washington's older half brother, his name was Lawrence, not Andrew. But what eventually got George Washington into the British militia as a major was an endorsement from Lord Fairfax, played by Kelsey Grammer. His first mission was to survey the land in Ohio and give a report to the crown to see, more or less how much that land will be worth so that they know how much to tax. During that time, though, they run into some Native Americans and stuff, and they form an unlikely partnership to to try to get rid of the French that were already inhabiting the space. This leads to a battle against the French, which they ultimately lose, and also incites a war between the British and the French. Feeling defeated, George Washington eventually goes back home and stuff. His mom gives him a pep talk, and he eventually joins, back in with the British military. I guess as an aide to going against the French again, in that same area. This time around, they're victorious. I'd also like to point out that in this movie, they did show slaves actually fighting on behalf of their masters to, gain independence. So I like the fact that they touched on that in this movie as well. Needless to say, I learned a lot about George Washington that I wasn't privy to, back when I was taking history class. I'm gonna be honest with you. I normally don't check out Revolutionary War movies because they really romanticize, how this country was founded. And when I say that, they don't touch on the fact that slaves played a big part in how this country was founded. And yeah, that should be depicted in the movies as well. And while this story was about young, George Washington as a young man and as a major, I do also appreciate the fact that there was visual representation during that part of the movie as well. Clearly, that wasn't the focal point of the movie, but I'm just glad there was visual representation. Now, was this movie shot and acted well? Yeah, I'm gonna go say that. I will say yes. For the most part, this movie was done pretty well. Am I gonna say that this is a movie that you have to run, go and see? No, not necessarily. But I guess given the weekend that it is, if you guys want to make time to I guess show your gratitude for the Declaration of Independence and like what it took for this country to be what it is, go check it out. All right. My rating for this movie, yeah, I'm gonna rate it a Chuleta because it actually was a pretty good movie. All right. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. You all have a great day and God bless. Peace.